are the Krimh metal drums from Bogren Digital. I want to share with you in this video how these drums can help you come up with some really creative riffs and just expand your playing and writing. Now, these were sampled by Krimh himself, Krimh, who's known for his work with bands like Decapitated and Septic Flesh, and these were produced by Jens Bogren himself, the owner of Bogren Digital at Fascination Street Studios. So I'm going to take you behind the scenes and share some ways you can use Krimh drums to come up with your own unique sounds. And at the end, I'll show you how I use them, which is a very simple method I think you'll benefit from as well. All right, so first up, we've got a killer looking interface here. Just look at that. That's cool, and that is very inspiring. Now you can already see at the bottom here the keyboard, so you can click on these and get the different sounds. I believe you can connect this and use it as MIDI, so if you had like a drum pad or a keyboard, you could use it that way and route that way, which we're gonna dive into this just briefly here. Again, at the end, I'll show you how I use this, which is a very simple method, and why I use the simple method over getting into the programming. But let's dig in real quick here. So if we go to the mixer, you can see here you have got like all these possibilities. You can just remix your entire kit if you want. You've got the panning, you see the panning knobs up here. You've got faders for each one. You even have effects down here. You can see your reverb sends over here. You've got reverb short, reverb long, the levels. You also have bleed control. You've got this these features under the envelope section here, the attack, the hold decay. So you can just really have endless possibilities with this if you want to get into programming. Now also up top here, I want to show you this real quick. There's what's called an anti-machine gun. And then you also have an auto double kick. Again, just some more features that you can use. Now, if you wanted to save this, like let's say you did your mixing, you remixed the kit entirely. If you wanted to save that as your preset, I believe you can go up here under the file section here, and you can save as. And of course, you can recall the original one as well, the default one here, which I'm just keeping everything as default. I just wanted to show you these possibilities real quick here. On top of that, you also have a setting at the top right-hand corner over here. You also have more settings where we get into the mapping presets. So here you can see you can actually tune each drum. This is pretty cool. And again, this is for anyone who really just wants to dive deep into programming drums and just dialing in your own sound for maybe a specific song or album or whatever. Now, let's go over to what's called grooves, and this is how I use the Krimh drums. So you see under Krimh, you've got different styles or subgenres, if you will. We've got extreme metal. If I click on that, you see it's got the BPM there, 200 BPM. So that's what those are meant for. Now, your DAW does not have to be at 200 BPM for this, or 210 BPM. But I would probably set it sort of close to that, right? Just because that's how the drums are designed for this specific subset of loops. So you've got some grooves here. These are just, I'll play a few of these. These are just like normal, I guess, patterns like for verse, chorus, or for different sections of the song. Let's try the Extreme Metal Groove 2. Pretty cool. Now, real quick, I want to see what my DAW is set at. I don't know. I don't remember what I set the BPM of my DAW. So let's go to that. I'm using PreSonus Studio One, by the way. So I've got it set at 180. So since we're on the extreme metal and they're recorded to 210 BPM, let's just plug that in real quick. And then let's go back to that drum sound and see what that sounds like, or hear what that sounds like. Okay. Pretty cool. And again, we've got like 12 metal grooves here, so we've got different sounds. We can play this one, go to 3, see what that was, number 2. Go to groove 3, hear what that sounds like. So a little variation, and I'm about to build kind of a mini song here in a second. So I just want to go through these, just a few of these first, just so you can hear how these things sound. So that was 2 and 3, a little variation there. Let's go all the way to number 9. Cool. And then we also have some fills right here. You could add these like to the end. A lot of times what I'll do, and I'll show you this in a second, I'll shave the back piece off, right, of one loop, and I'll throw the fill in, something like this. Okay, so you can throw those in your track as well. Now, again, we've got different subgenres here. You've got a section for metal ballad at 120 BPM. Again, you can see a different set of loops comes up. So for this, I'd want to change my BPM. Let's just do that real quick so I can share how this works. All right, so let me change my BPM to, I don't want to quite do 120. Let's just do like 130. Why don't we try that out? Okay. Again, it doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to exactly line up with what these loops are recorded at. So we're at the ballad. Let's just play groove 2 here. Pretty cool. Now, one other thing I want to show you real quick before we build out our loops and jam some. So you've got a playback speed. So you can go half time or double time on this. So let's play that groove again, and I'm going to switch it over to half time. Right here. Now let's go back to the regular time, and then I'm gonna speed it up at double time. Double time. So that's almost like 3 loops in one right there. So however many loops we have here, we've got, I think, 11 grooves for this this subgenre here. So really, that's times 3. So you got like 33 grooves there. So that's pretty cool. Again, other subgenres here. We've got modern metal at around 180 BPM. You've got two banks for progressive metal. There's one with 4/4 timing, one with 6/8 timing. Those are at 130 BPM. And then we have a traditional heavy metal at 130 BPM. And you can use these interchangeably. Again, they don't have to necessarily be used with the exact BPM. A lot of these loops, like for example, the extreme metal loops at 210, a lot of those will still sound good at like 130, 150, depending on the song that you're working with. So now, let me show you how I use these loops. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the DAW. I'm going to set this at 210. We're going to play around the extreme metal here. Okay, so let's set that at 210. Actually, I'll go 205. Good enough. Let's open up this here. What I like to do is I've got to move this down. I'm on a laptop, so my screen is kind of tiny here. My iMac, it died a few months ago. I'm filming this in 2024. The iMac was like a late 2013, so hey, it served its purpose quite well. In any case, screen's a little small. If you had like 2 screens, or if I still have my old 27-inch screen, which I'll have a bigger screen here soon, you can of course have your studio here, and then like your drums here. You can see everything, right? So forgive the screen here. I've got to drag this down a little bit. What I want to do is just drag a loop. This is how I use it. I'm just going to drag, let's see. And that was the wrong one. I was playing a metal ballad, which are around the 120 BPM range, while my DAW is set, the DAW BPM is set at like 205, right? Which again, didn't sound bad. I actually didn't mean to do that. That was a mistake. But it just goes to show you, which I want to show you anyway, how interchangeable these loops are, even with the different BPM settings here. So let's go to extreme metal. We're just going to make this up on the fly, by the way, so bear with me. Cool, let's start with that. So I've got that highlighted, the Extreme Metal Groove 2. What I'm going to do is there's a drag MIDI right here. So I'm just going to click on that, and that's going to drag my groove all the way to here, right? So, cool. So that is in my DAW now. So we're all set. Now, one thing I'm going to do just to give myself a little count off, so you're going to hear the click here. I do turn the click track on, which is on now, so good. I turned the click track on so that I can have a count off before this starts. So, all right. Let's just go with something. I have no clue what we're going to play here. We'll just make something up, all right? Okay, cool. Again, we're just making stuff up here, but that's the way I use this. Now, what I like to do, we'll go a step further here. Oftentimes when I'm writing music in the studio here, I will just duplicate. I'll find one loop that I like a lot, and I might duplicate that same loop. So here in Presonus Studio One, which is my DAW, I can highlight the loop here, and I can click D, and then that will just duplicate that loop. So now we've got the ending here. You'll see it. Of course, it's still going, so I can continue playing if I want. So I'll do that a lot of times. I'll duplicate it maybe 2 times, maybe 3 times, and just to get that riff down that I want. And then what I'll do often after that is I'll start playing around with some other loops. Okay, well, we've got that. That was groove 2. Let's pull this back up again. That was groove 2, so maybe I want something different, and let's just try groove 6. What does that sound like? Quite different, okay? Quite different. So, well, let's just drag that in, okay? This is part of the songwriting process here. You just play around with some different things. Now, before I drag it into the track, what I'll often do is just let it play. So let's play it. Okay, I'll just mess around before I actually start recording, so I kind of have an idea of what I want the riff to be, and then I'll record it. And guys, I might record like several variations of the riff before I get something I really like. I'm just doing this quickly to demonstrate. So let's do one more thing. Let's just drag that in right there, and I can just drag it in right there. Okay, so I don't remember what I played for the first riff. We're going to try to do that again real quick, okay? Alright, so let's go back. I'm going to delete my old riff here. And then we're just going to play something. So we've got that first, I think it's groove 2 that we're going to start out with. I duplicated that, and then it changes to another groove. So let's just record something here. Okay, and then it stopped. Now, what I would have probably done is duplicated that last one just to keep going. But again, that's just to share an example. And let me show you this real quick. So let's say this part right here. Okay, when I go from the, a lot of the tremolo picking to holding out those power chords, because that's where the loops change. What I'll do a lot of times, and I don't spend a lot of time on this, of course I'll share why after we get through with this. I will take this loop and I'll drag it back a little bit. I'm going to show you 2 things real quick that are really cool. I'll drag it back so it's got an open spot, open space. And let's go back here to the Krimh drums. We've got these fills, okay? Okay, good enough. Let's put that fill in here. I'll drag it right here. There we go. So now I've got a little fill in there, after that one loop. So that kind of gives me a little bit better indication of something's about to change, because I've got a cool drum fill in there. So let's just listen to that last part so you can hear the fill and going into the next piece of music. Okay, cool. So I like to do that here and there. And this just, again, it just inspires me a little bit more as I'm writing. I mean, imagine writing this stuff to just a click, 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 click. These drums sound awesome, so it's far more inspiring. One more thing I want to show you real quick, and then I'll get into why I actually do things this way, this very simple method. If you want to add, okay, and we're going to actually do a very light drum programming, if you even want to call it that. And most DAWs, I believe, work, sort of the same. But if I double click on the loop itself, I'm here, okay, I'm here inside the loop. You can see down here, and you can see these are the beats here, right? I don't want to call them beats. These are the drums. Okay, so there's my kick. So when I end right there, let's say this was the end of a song, okay? What I would like to do is right at 29 here, where the guitar, that last guitar part, just gives just a quick power chord, right? Well, I want like a kick and maybe a cymbal there. So I'll go here, and I'll just duplicate that. I'll insert a kick right here at 29, and then let's see. I'm just dragging this around to see where my cymbals are. I think they're way up here. There's one. We got two cymbals right here, okay? So just listen to the very end. I'm gonna have a kick and a cymbal, or two cymbals rather, to carry over to meet that last note, okay? And I don't know how well you could hear that, but again, I had that kick and that cymbal on that last note there, so it wasn't just the note of the guitar. So that's how a lot of times I'll end the song. Now, the reason why I use the easy method, which is basically just using the pre-recorded loops that are already in there, the pre-made loops, I typically use drum programs like this for YouTube videos like this, and of course for my guitar courses. You guys know Metal Guitar Apprentice and Metal Riff Master. I've got a lead guitar course coming out soon, which that is probably going to have the Krimh drums. My other two courses and pretty much everything that I've put out on YouTube up to this point, I was using TuneTrack's Easy Drummer, which that's not a bad program. I've got their Metal Machine pack and the Death Metal pack, so we've got some metal sounding loops. When I heard Krimh drums, I was like, okay, I wish I had heard about this a lot sooner. I don't know how long these have been out, but they sound phenomenal in my opinion. They sound great, and they're just much more inspiring to write to. And this is the second reason why I use program drums, is for writing, for getting those ideas down. Could you imagine recording this stuff to a click track, or even recording this stuff with a drum program that's just not metal? You're trying to capture this certain feel, this particular element, but you just don't have that backing for it. When you pull these drums out, the Krimh drums, it's like, okay, wow, the ideas just flow a little better, and you might find yourself coming up with some really cool stuff that you wouldn't have come up with without the inspiration, if that makes sense. It also gives your drummer a format to go by. For example, I have hired a real drummer for my last two albums. You guys know Cameron Fleury, an amazing metal drummer. He is phenomenal. He recorded the drums for my last album, Overcometh, which was released in 2023. And then the first time I worked with him was with my Masterpiece album, which was released in 2019. But I like to give the drum format, my music, with the program drums, so that the drummer at least has an idea of what I was thinking. And again, I'm using loops for this, right? I'm not programming anything, but I'm finding the loop that fits the best with what I want to portray in the song and in those pieces of each song. So it gives the drummer an idea. Now, I give the drummer ultimate freedom. I told Cameron, I'm like, hey man, I know this is what I have. There are certain parts I might want, some steady double bass. I'll mark those down. But, for the most part, I want the drummer to have free reign. They're the drummer, not me. So I certainly don't want to get in my own way, if that makes sense. But those are the reasons why I just use loops. I don't care to dive into programming drums and all that. But you saw, with Krimh, you can program all day if that's something you want to get into. I just like to share how I personally use things because that may help you. I hope it does at least. I do want to give a quick shout out to the folks at Bogren Digital for, first of all, supplying these drums to me, the Krimh drums. You guys know a little story behind this. I recently discovered their plugins, and that was all thanks to you guys. I was testing out amp sims over the past several months, and I asked the question in one of my videos. I was like, hey, well, let me know, guys, if there's an amp sim that, you know, maybe I haven't heard about, that you guys are just like, okay, Jason, you've got to try this. Well, several of you said try Ampknob by Bogren Digital. So I did. I tried their Trivium Ampknob series, and then I got their BDH, which I ended up buying the BDH amps. That's pretty much what you've been hearing on my YouTube channel over probably the past month. That's all I've been playing through. Thank you guys for recommending that. And of course, I reached out to Bogren Digital, so I want to give you guys again a shout out for allowing me to work with you guys. It is an honor, it is a pleasure, so I appreciate you guys. On that note, no pun intended, I do have an affiliate link in the description of this video where you can purchase and get a discount. Now, the discount will not apply if there are other sales, so it won't be like, you know, on top of that. But for their regular price plugins, you will get that discount using my link. So do check that out. By the way, if you did not see my Ampknob video on the Trivium series, well, I'll put that up there. If you want more of that, like that PV5150 EVH sound, well, I've got a video on that plugin, that Ampknob series right up there as well. Guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Leave me any comments. As always, keep it metal and keep playing music.